Good morning. Thanks, Steve. I promise we're not actually listening to what you and your wife are talking about in your home. That's not how it works. But I am super excited. This is my first Email Insider Summit. What a great group. I'm super excited to talk to you a bit about how we think about email and personalization and the limits of personalization at Wayfair. So in terms of what's on the docket, I'm going to go through and give you a crash course in how we think about managing our email program at Wayfair, and then we're going to go far deeper into how we think about personalization and what the limits of personalization are when we're trying to build a story or a narrative within our email. Now, one of the things, as I've been hearing all the stories from different people over the past few days, is that we all are operating in highly different contexts, and I think it's important here to level set on what context we're operating in at Wayfair, because that plays a really heavy hand in driving how we think about our strategy for the program and how we think about personalization. So Wayfair is a platform that serves the home goods market. And so when I say platform, what I mean by that is we have suppliers who come to our site and upload products. Then we have customers who come to the site, they buy the products, we deliver it to them. So this presents a few different challenges for us. The first is we aim to be the destination for all things home, and home is a ginormous category. So for us, we have over 33 million different products. One of the largest issues that we need to solve is narrowing down that catalog so you're not going through this endless scroll of millions of products. We need to help you very quickly find that needle in the haystack. Second, we have over 23,000 different suppliers who come to our site. As I'm sure you can imagine, there are varying degrees of standardization across these suppliers, different ways they approach imagery, different tone and copy as they're describing their products. All of that stuff gets hydrated into my email, and it becomes very challenging to maintain a cohesive experience within the email when you lose control of all the little bits and pieces. And then last but not least, so we had, I think, 27 million customers placed a purchase on Wayfair last year. We send billions of messages. It's mission critical for us that everything from our tech stack to how we approach solutions around personalization, all of that has to be scalable. So that's our context. Let's talk a little bit about email at Wayfair. So our mission is to maximize the customer lifetime value of our lists by building deep and enduring one-to-one relationships with our customers. So we do this by personalizing the entire portfolio of communications and then wrapping that in an on-brand, personable, enjoyable experience. There's three different pillars that we're racing against to achieve this mission. The first is the foundational, so we need a solid, scalable foundation. We need it to work on time as intended to get messages out the door. That's very basic, but super important to us. Next is the experience piece, and this, admittedly, we are earlier in our evolution around crafting the right experience, but as we think about this channel serving as an extension of the brand, this is where we're placing a lot of attention these days. And then last, certainly not least, we think about personalization. And when we talk about personalization, we think about it in terms of personalizing across the four rights. So we want to get customers the right information at the right time when they're primed to receive and act on that information. We want to send it at the right frequency, so number of emails per week. And then we want to make sure if I've got a message to get out to the customer, I want to get it to you through the right channel for you. All right. I'm going to talk a bit through the behind-the-scenes sausage making in terms of how we manage our program, because I think that helps it really come to life. So the first question we ask ourselves is, who are we going to send to? So we have our customer list, and then we tend to follow industry best practices in terms of customers that we're going to pull and suppress because they've not been engaging with our email. So we pull them out. Second, especially in this COVID period, we have had massive supply chain disruptions. And what that means, you went to buy a sofa, it's back-ordered, it's back-ordered, it's back-ordered, it finally gets to you months later. That's a bad post-order experience. And what we've learned is that for customers who are facing this bad post-order experience, it is not the right time to reach out to them and try to earn more business. And so what we do is we snooze down notifications for customers who are currently in the midst of this bad experience. We wait until that has come to resolution, until we've had the chance to give them an empathetic apology before we start sending to them again. So that's who we send to. Next, when do we send? So the first step there is, how many emails should I be sending you in any given week? And here we have a series of machine learning models that will essentially predict whether any given customer is going to click and make a purchase or whether they are going to click and unsubscribe. And then we take that to determine the optimal frequency to maximize our revenue and minimize the costs. So if you are a customer who always eagerly awaits your Wayfair email and is clicking around and is opening it, I'm going to be sending you 7, 8, 9, 10 emails every week. If, on the other hand, you've been lessening your engagement, you're not as likely to click and to engage with the email, you might only be receiving 1 email a week. So that's how frequently we send emails. Next is timing. So we want to make sure there's so much competition in people's lives and in the inbox today. We want to make sure that we are at top of the inbox, front and center, when a customer is primed to act on that information. And so we personalize here based on your browse time. So if you are someone who tends to browse the site at 10 p.m. before you go to bed, we are going to get you that email, top of your inbox at 10 p.m. before you go to bed, so you're primed to sort of act on it then. So that's when we send. The next step is, what do we actually go and send to the customer? So first is the template, and here form follows function. So we want to make sure that the template we're serving will get you the best mix of information that you need based on where you're at in your purchase journey and your own individual shopping styles. And then there's 3 different components that determine sort of the mix of stuff that we put in front of you. Those are event recommendations or groupings of products, individual products, and then inspirational or editorial pieces of content. I'm going to go deeper into what we send on the next slide. So there's 5 basic components that dictate sort of what we send to a customer. First is the subject line. And so this is the front door of our email experience. We could have the most magical experience within our email, but if that subject line doesn't resonate, doesn't pop out for you, you're never going to open that email. You're never going to see the magic. So subject lines are very important to us. And we personalize subject lines using a templated approach. So here, the template is product class dash our top picks. And then we hydrate that subject line with the first module in the email, which here is an air fryer. So that template reads, air fryers are top picks. That's the subject line. Next, we have individual products. So if you have been actively searching for different air fryers, we, again, remember we have this large catalog problem. We want to skinny that down and put in front of you the exact right 1 or 2 products that are going to help you close the deal and convert. Next is groupings of products or events. So here, if we don't necessarily, you've not been searching a ton, but we know you're looking for some place to sit, say, we would serve you a grouping of places to sit. So sofas and armchairs and stools, and then we'd aim to get you back to site so we can pick up better signal off of which to personalize. And then last here is banners or editorial content. The goal here is to provide an enjoyable experience. We tend to serve these primarily to customers who we don't have a ton of signal on, and the whole intent there is we get you to click, knock around our site, then we pick up more signal, and we will send you more personalized emails going forward. All 3, so SKUs, events, and banners, all 3 of these different components are powered by their own set of algorithms, but generally speaking, what they all aim to accomplish is they personalize what we're sending you based on your browse context, or based on things that are generally popular across our lists or to customers like you. Last component that we personalize here is the template. So if you are very in market, you're very high intent, you've been actively searching for air fryers or beds, we're going to choose a template that gets specific product recommendations front and center. Other end of the spectrum, you've not been shopping at Wayfair, we know far less about you, we're going to send you a more inspirational or editorial block of content up front. Now, so this we are personalizing based on customer segment or your level of intent. We're actually halfway through an initiative where we will start to personalize based on one-to-one signals. So if I know what your level of intent is and how you like to shop, I'm going to change that template to better suit your needs. So that's how we think about personalization at Wayfair. Now let's talk about where things can go sideways. And there's a few areas I'm going to talk about specifically. So first, subject lines. They work really well until they don't. Second, stale personalization can do more harm than good, so you have to be very careful in terms of how you're decaying your signal. And then finally, when you have a computer generating more and more parts of your program, you can very quickly lose control of the narrative and the experience. All right, so we're going to take a look of some subject line examples in the wild. So here, the subject line template is the product class everyone's buying. I am searching for area rugs, so that is what's hydrated into the template. That's perfect. I am, in fact, searching for area rugs. I see that in my inbox. That's relevant to me. I click, I engage. Now, here's where it can go sideways. Remember, we have a large catalog. So in this instance, somebody is searching for a part of a toilet. So yes, the subject line is personalized and relevant to them, but this is more of an eyebrow raiser, not something we would necessarily as marketers choose to put out into the world, the fixture, parts, and components that everyone's buying. Next, this subject line, super straightforward. Inside, what's inside this email? Solid wood nightstands. That's as straightforward as it gets. But again, I've got my toilet problem here, inside toilets. That's not what we would choose to put out there. So what do we do with this? So first, we craft the subject line templates quite carefully, paying attention to all of the different edge cases that we might bump up against when we think about the context in which we're operating. Second, you're never going to get all the edge cases, so we lean on business rules to restrict certain product and subject line combinations. And then last, we dog food our own subject line. So everybody on my team has many, many email burner accounts, as I'm sure most of the folks do here. So we actively look in the wild to try to find weird, janky experiences and then solve for them with business rules. We also have 16,000 different employees at Wayfair who have no qualms about sending me any weird subject lines that they have received. So we welcome that and use that information as well. All right, I'm going to talk quickly about stale personalization. So the point of personalization is to be relevant. If I am searching for area rugs, I'm going to send area rugs to that customer. Now, if I just bought an area rug, what is the thing that is least relevant to me tomorrow? It's probably an area rug. So here is an example. This is my inbox. I was searching for area rugs on Wayfair, and over the next 3 months, Wayfair sent me 14, 15, 16 emails about area rugs. Now, if I had purchased that area rug at Wayfair, we would have immediately ingested that signal and stopped talking to you about area rugs. We would have started talking about complementary products like rug mats or side tables. But if I purchase that area rug somewhere else, we don't have a deterministic signal anymore, and so we have to rely on business rules to decay that signal. So what do we do here? Here we decay the signal based on consideration cycle. So if you are searching for something in like a piece of decor, like a vase, that's a pretty quick consideration cycle. So we are going to decay that signal and stop talking to you about vases very quickly in a matter of days. Contrast that with a vanity for your bathroom. That's a far bigger purchase. You probably have to take some measurements. You might have to contact a plumber or a contractor. So we're going to decay that signal far more slowly over time. One other thing we think about, if we don't always know the consideration cycle, you can use price as a proxy as well. So you tend to make decisions for smaller price points far quicker than large price points. All right. Last but not least, controlling the narrative. So this is an example of an email that is highly personalized to me. In the course of the same week, I was, in fact, searching for towel bars, air fryers, outdoor events, and dressers. Very personalized to me. What's happening here, though, is this is not a brand-forward experience. I'm going to close the transaction today. This does nothing to create a deeper, more enduring, loyal relationship over time, which, as I said at the beginning, that is part of our mission. So we want to build a relationship with a person. We don't want the person building a relationship with a computer. Also, I'll call out here, subject line, so pro tip is the template. Check out our components 12-inch bar. Also, a bit of a bizarre subject line, and more importantly, that only speaks to a really tiny portion of what is in the email. So what do we do with that? So I think there are elegant technical solutions we could implement, and we are starting to work towards those. In the meantime, for some of our brands like All Modern, this is a far more pressing issue. They're in the middle of a specialty brand evolution. It's very important to them that everything they put out there upholds their brand, tells a narrative, builds a relationship with that customer. So what we've done here is we've created themed templates, and all of the themes tie back to the brand. So here a theme might be All Modern wants to be the authority in all things modern. So we create every quarter a number of different templates that are about authority. So that we've got top-rated products, we have buyers' picks, we have things that are community approved. So we create this set of themes, and then we hydrate that with personalized information. So for that top-rated email, this person seems to be in market for things to sit on, and so we are hydrating this with top-rated seats. If you were, for example, in market for outdoor furniture, this email would be hydrated with outdoor furniture, things that are also top picks. So this is an example of how we've started to think about keeping the best of both worlds. So having personalization and being hyper-relevant to a customer while also creating a cohesive, coherent, brand-forward experience. And that is all I've got for you. So I think we have time for questions. All right.
That was a lot. Thank you, Jess.
Sure.
That was great. Questions? Yep.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm from Braze. This is my first Email Insider Summit, but it's been really lovely, intimate experience. I really appreciated the level of depth you went into and granularity when it talked about hydrating profiles to ensure that there was really deep-seated personalization in each touch point and being able to test and iterate on when things felt a little stale or outdated or things were decayed. I know one of the largest problems for high volume senders is when you reach a certain level of scale, making sure that you're narrowing down to a particular SKU or product category. How do you guys deal with issues of scale as being probably the largest spender in the home, the home decor space? Would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Good question. So we're on a journey there. We have a team of data scientists who are focused on product recommendations and being able to get you that exact right product. I will say we're pretty good compared to our peers. We're probably not great if you compare us to some place like Netflix. So what we do today is we think about, you're in market for sofas, I'm gonna get you a sofa. We don't have a way easily to think about what style might be particularly interesting to you, what price point. So over the next 12, 18, 24 months, we're starting to focus far more on getting that exact right product for you, not just a type of product that is top rated or popular. It's not an easy problem to solve with a catalog of our size, though.
Hi, Jess. Jeff
Hi.
Foley for Lidity. Love the presentation, fascinating. I'm wondering how you split up the work then with all this stuff procedurally generated, and do you find that the work is less the traditional, I need to plan this campaign, and more I need to think about templates and
Yeah.
It seems like a different breed of email marketer that you need.
I think that's right. So we've got across our entire team, we have about 100 people. And they do everything from our data science to the creative to the typical email marketing. Across the core email marketers, nobody on my team actually came from an email marketing experience, which is interesting and part of the reason why I love coming here, because I get to meet with people who do this and have been doing this for years. Most of the people on my team have very technical backgrounds, so very product forward, very good at digging into how should I be building this template, what will that mean in terms of the customer experience. I think as we start to focus more on building a more typical customer experience, we're going to have more creative marketers come in and start to sort of sand off the edges a bit, and we will shift from being very technical focused to being far more sort of brand forward, if that makes sense.
Chester Bullock with RentPath. My question is more around how you're achieving this personalization and these recommendations. I think you just alluded to it. You said you got a team of data scientists. So are your algorithms developed in-house? Are you guys using an outside AI tool? How are you achieving all this?
Yeah, good question. It's in-house. So Wayfair has a heritage of building and doing most of our tech and our data science in-house. This is one on the data science side. It's absolutely done in-house.
Hi, Josh from HBR. You mentioned segmenting out people have a topic affinity versus people who are engaged but don't have a specific affinity. What have you found about relative conversion rates and order value from those two segments? How much of a benefit is it to really know specifically someone's area of interest?
It's a huge benefit. So when we're able to get very specific and start recommending individual products to a customer, we see conversion and the revenue and engagement. Frankly, everything is far, far greater for those segments. Once you get less engaged, our signals aren't as strong. We don't, it's more like getting more shots on goal. Like, am I going to surface something that is relevant to you and get you to interact? So we actually see conversion rates are far lower with editorial content.
Jess, one of the things that I noticed in some of the templates that you're using and in the subject lines is that you seem to be trying to, and I'm wondering if you're doing this self-consciously, mimic editorial so that you're sounding more like a buyer's guide and you're sounding less like an e-com company. And I noticed in some of the some of the templates where you're really putting content up, so it's feeling more like an independent buyer's guide than simply another recommended push from Wayfair. And I'm wondering if that's being done self-consciously.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think it depends on the brand. So Wayfair is our main brand, but we have 4 specialty retail and luxury brands: Paragold, All Modern, Joss & Main, and Birch Lane. And especially for the specialty programs, we find it's mission critical to be more editorial, to tell more of a story. That's what our competitors are doing in that space. And so that is far more intentional. On the Wayfair side, we are doing it intentionally, but part of what we're also doing is trying to tone down our subject lines, which have historically been quite loud and in your face. That's been very performant in the short term. Over the long haul, it's not, we think that might actually be less accretive to the brand. So part of what we're doing is just trying to be more conversational and less loud.
Are there new and different metrics that you're applying as you're engaging these different approaches? Do you have different numbers and metrics that you're looking for to see if they're actually working?
The hardest thing for us right now is customer lifetime value and being able to measure that. So if I put a transactional email forward, I'm looking to get you to convert and close the deal the next day. That experience is always going to win out versus a longer term play where I am building a brand and hoping to inspire you and generate loyalty over a long period of time. And so we have to rely on some type of customer lifetime value indicator to prove out whether this longer experience is actually more accretive than the short-term experience. But it's a hot topic. We are actively trying to think about ways we can determine lifetime value for our space, which is people purchase far less frequently. So it's a bit of a harder problem to solve.
And I want to lean forward into our next presentation by asking you about how this integrates with your app strategy, since a lot of us use the Wayfair app, and we're also on sort of an alert cadence as well. How are you thinking about how email integrates within your app users and how you coordinate all that?
Yeah. So from a transactional sense, if you've purchased something and we are messaging you about that, we've put in place business rules according to how urgent that message is, how quickly we need to get in front of you. So we don't actually use push a ton for that, but you might use SMS if I need you to be home and accept the delivery, whereas if I'm just telling you something shipped, we'll more likely use email. So we're starting to do that in the transactional space. We are building models to get better at omni-channel messaging. So putting the customer at the center versus the channel at the center, which is historically how we've done it. So you may or may not see the exact same message get blasted to you through all different channels. We want to sort of flip that around and make sure that we're able to send the message, the channels work together in concert, and we're able to send you the right message through the right channel for you as an individual or based on our business needs. But we're in early innings there. I think we'll make a lot of progress in the next year.
So you're still working. I mean, the emails are taking account of shopping patterns and shopping preferences, but the integration of mobile, not quite yet. You're not quite to the point where you're knowing whether people prefer to use their app as opposed to using
Correct. And we're personalizing everything off of the same signal, so you could end up with the same message through many channels.
Jess, Madsen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.